Hi, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode on the show Behind the Scenes in Health with Dr. Ron. If you're new here, my name is Ronald or Dr. Ron, and I talk about everything around healthcare, health tech. I talk about career transition. I talk about alternative careers. So if that's kind of content you sign up for, you're in the right place. So just hit the subscribe button and give this video a like and share the channel with your friends, family, and colleagues. So, on today's episode, I'll be talking about why I quit medicine, right? Because I've been getting that question a lot. Why did you leave medicine? What are you doing now? Are you happy? Are you fulfilled? And all of those questions. So, I'll just be taking all of those questions one after the other in terms of running through why I quit medicine and potentially you could find the answers within, right? So let's dive into the conversation for today. So, well, a lot of you guys know me, Dr. Ronald or Kelechi or Casey, medical doctor with over 9, 10 years of experience or clinical experience, right? And yeah, I've worked in several hospitals across several industries. I work in the HMO space. I worked in clinical care. I've done a little bit of research. I've done a bit of health tech, and that's what I'm actually doing like full time right now. And yeah, medicine is interesting really because you get to save lives. Though that might sound cliche, but I mean that's what it is really. And it's interesting because every day is different. You get to see different things every day, especially if you work in the accident and emergency or outpatient, which I usually love very well or I used to like very well, really. So that satisfaction from you know having to help somebody and yeah, give them a chance at living. So that was one of my reasons for studying medicine, really. And I wouldn't say I regret it. No, I don't regret it at the end of the day, really. But the big question is, so why did you leave? I mean, being a doctor comes with a lot of challenges. And yeah, a lot of challenges really, because you're talking about the emotional issues, you're talking about the physical toll of the profession, we talk about the long working hours, you talk about the high stress levels, and you talk about the impact on your work life balance. So, first of all, the emotional and physical toll, which we can call burnout, right? It's actually high because I mean, you're always on your toes, you're always in the hospital, you're working long hours, you're on call. And in some places where you don't have adequate doctors or enough doctors, you find one person doing the work of 10, 15 doctors. It's crazy. It's absolutely demanding. Right. Then you talk about the impact of work-life balance. In terms of work-life balance, you really can't, well, maybe for the consultants, which I'm not anyway, you really can't say you might have a really good work-life balance because you're always in the hospital, you're always on call. You rarely have time to chase other passions or dreams or hang out or socialize and all of that. So it's like your second house is the hospital. I mean, I know clinicians or doctors, I mean, they have a house, but they're hardly at home because they're always in the hospital. And it really doesn't make sense because at the end of the day, when you take stock, you find out that, I mean, the only place your life revolves around is in the hospital. The only people you know are doctors, medical doctors, or nurses. I mean, just healthcare professionals, really. And for me, I don't think it really makes a lot of sense that way. I'm not saying it's bad, really, but it doesn't really make sense to me, right? So, my journey to tech or health tech, I think it was an accidental one. It wasn't really directly uh, a direct occurrence, really. I started by building websites, got interested in how those things worked and all of that. Then somehow along the line, I started. working with companies who produce electronic medical records, EHRs or patient health records, and all of that. Seeing what they do, and it was quite interesting, really, seeing what the process looked like behind the scenes, really. And I mean, it was really interesting. And I think the icing on the cake was when I was part of the team that actually built the software from ground up in one of the hospitals I worked. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And you know, it wasn't stressful, though it's stressful in its own way. But I think I found a lot of fulfillment in doing that, and I became quite very much interested. Then by the time the whole buzz around AI and machine learning, clinical decision support systems came on, and I was like, wow, okay, this looks like something you can quite go in. So I think the where the decision for me came was I think I worked on a project, and I mean that project I did all of it from the home. I didn't have to go to any office. I didn't have to travel long distances. I mean, they just send the documents, you read, you log in, you do your meetings, you make your recommendations, and that was it. I was like, this is really a cool way to work anyway. And that was when I now got really, really, really interested to chase this industry. But before I got there, I had to take do a little bit of stock taking. So how do I, transition properly into this space, really? So I had to start looking at the transferable skills I have. So I talk a lot about this. As doctors, as nurses, or healthcare professionals, you've got a lot of transferable skills that you can use to support your transition, really. You talk about things like teamwork, you talk about things like collaboration, you talk about things like communication, you talk about presentation skills. These are some of the skills that you use every day in the workplace. I mean, you do presentations every day, you do a lot of writing, medical reports, case notes, and all of that. You work as a member of a team. I mean, a doctor can't do it all alone. You work with the nurse, pharmacist, and all to make sure the patient gets the best of care, and that's teamwork. So those are the some of the transferable skills I looked at. I was like, okay. And when you now look at the job description of the other side, I mean, the health tech roles, these are some of the things they were looking for. And I was like, okay, that means I'm well armed or well suited to, dive into this space, really. You get. So, but again, that was not without doing some extra research in terms of, okay, what other things will I need to make this journey? What kind of support will I be requiring to make this journey properly? So I had to start doing a lot of research, talking to people who are already in the space. What are the issues? Are they happy? Is their job fulfillment, satisfaction before you jump from frying pan into the fire? So I had to do a lot of all this, and then there was the issue of this is it the sunk cost fallacy? I can't remember what it is really. It was a difficult decision really, because I mean you're leaving your comfort zone basically, and you don't know what lies at the deep end of the ocean. But I mean, like somebody told me then that if anything doesn't work out, you come back to your stethoscope, right? So that was really it. So I did a lot of research, talked to people, and before I came to that conclusion. Then in terms of learning and upskilling, so I found out that my transferable skills were fine. They were good. My work experience, because I volunteered for some health tech companies, were actually fine and all of that. But it wasn't really enough, even though it was good to get me into the door. But I felt it wasn't really enough. So that was when I decided to go for a postgraduate degree in health informatics to sort of give me um what do you call it now, a good solid knowledge base about what I was doing or what I was going to do, which I really don't regret, even though that cost me a lot of money, or cost us and my family a lot of money to get that, but it was worth doing really. um So, like I said in one of my previous videos, if you don't have the funds to do that, I mean, you can still volunteer. You can look for certification courses to do on Coursera and all of that, and that should help you really. So that was what I did in terms of learning and upskilling myself, and I'm still upskilling myself because I found out getting a project management certification, PMP or Prince 2, is very, very um, it's a booster to your CV really. And in some climes or some countries, they really value it. For example, if you're in the UK or looking to get into the UK market, they love Prince 2 a lot. So you might want to consider doing the Prince 2 foundation practitioner. I mean, there are tons of courses out there for you to do, but project management is a good boost one or good booster to your CV if you're looking at doing the getting into project management side of things really. So yeah, that was really what I did in terms of learning and upskilling, and I'm still going to do some extra courses. I've identified the ones I need to do. Maybe I'll probably do a video on that later, detailing all the courses you might want to consider on your journey in this space. So learning never ends really. Even if you're in the clinic or you still do your CMEs, CPDs, uh, go for your updates and all of that, conferences, just to make sure you're ahead of the curve, you're updated with latest trends and all of that, right? So in terms of future goals, yeah, I'm looking at getting to the top of this area, this health tech industry. I mean, there's a lot to do really. Sometimes it could be confusing or overwhelming with amount of information, but me just pick one area and niche down. So that's it. Things like becoming a CCIO or chief digital officer, those kind of goals. That's sort of thing I'm looking at the moment. That in terms of advice, because somebody asked me this, in one of my videos, I already talked about this. I said, please do your SWOT analysis first of all to understand why you're trying to get into health tech or trying to transition or trying to quit medicine. You need to understand the why or why you're leaving medicine so that you don't make the wrong decision really. But again, if you go wrong, you can always come back to the starting point, right? So, and some of the lessons I've learned along the way, you have to, after deciding this is what you want to do, you really need to stick to the journey, have a roadmap, stick to it really, because sometimes people might want to derail you um, because it's not something they are capable of or they are scared. I mean, everybody is scared of leaving their comfort zone. So you will get scared along the way. So you need to stick through your convictions and keep at it. Then another thing is you also be resilient and be ready for heartbreak in terms of when you start applying for jobs because you get a lot of rejections along the way. But again, it's still part of the process, really. So you might want to keep that in mind. Then another advice is try to network, look for people who are in this space. Like when I started this journey, we really didn't have much persons in this space, or maybe I didn't see people who are in this space to talk to. So it was quite a kind of difficult. But right now, I think a lot more people are coming out, getting into this space. And since I started networking, I've been finding more persons in this space. And I mean, part of what I'm trying to do is also get these people on the show on my channel to come and talk about their journeys. Really, it might not really be health tech, but I know guys in products, I know guys in project management, I know people in quality management, healthcare quality management. I know people in administration. I know people who are doing research, those who are doing data analysis. And in fact, if you check my live section on my channel, I've got some interviews with a couple of people who have quit medicine and doing something different, really. So that's one of the things I hope to do on this channel. Bring more people as much as possible to come and talk about their journeys, um, on how they move to other areas of or took a pivot in their career, So um yeah, that's it, and that's been my journey so far. So the big question is, are you gonna come back? I keep hearing that, or people ask me that. Are you coming back to clinical medicine and all of that? That's quite a difficult question to answer because somehow I still miss clinical medicine really. So I would say I'm technically on break really from clinical medicine. Maybe next year I'll probably come back, but I mean I want to enjoy this part, explore what it has to offer. Then maybe by finally by next year, probably take the decision if I'm quitting for real. But for now, yeah, I'm still one of you guys, the clinician. So if people see me, yes, you can still call me a clinician, right? So that's it. So I just thought I just share that little bit of story on my journey on how I left medicine temporarily, because I'm still coming back anyway, and started chasing my dreams in health tech and all of that. So if this has been informative for you, you can give this channel a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'm always happy to answer any questions you might have. So just pop them in the chat there. I'm always here to check and answer the ones I can answer, and hopefully I will bring more people to the show to talk about their journeys too, so that you get to learn from different perspectives or different individuals. So until I come your way next episode, I still remain your host, Dr. Ron. And don't forget to leave, or don't leave without subscribing to the channel. Get us to 1,000 subscribers. All right. See you guys on the next episode, and bye for now.